Hey, what's up? It's Billy Johnson Jr. from Parents in the Mix, where we stay informed about our kids' music. And we have a special guest today. We're out here in, what would you say this is Hollywood, Universal City?
The hot university city, the hot university city.
Yeah. This guy, Mr. Vegas, I know you know him. We're so honored to have him with us today. So, you know what we like to do on Parents in the Mix? We want to keep parents up to date. You know, a lot of parents, most parents, they can't keep up with what's happening in the music. They don't really know what their kids are listening to. We hadn't covered any reggae on the show, and since this iconic figure was in town, I thought if we're going to go to school on reggae, he would be the perfect person to take us through it. But first, let's mention that he's got a new project. This new record's called This Is Dancehall.
Right.
And so, wait, is this your last record? Like, clarify what's going on with this record.
Actually, this is my last dancehall record, just for a few reasons. It takes a lot of resources to put the type of record I want to put out, especially dancehall. And sales-wise, as a dancehall artist or doing a dancehall project, you know, it's not feasible at this time, you know, because we don't have, like, for example, some artists may have Apple Music or Samsung behind their project, you know, buying millions before it's even released. You know, we don't have that. You know, our fans can't even download, you know, our records from Jamaica because of the copyright law and stuff like that, you know. So it's kind of, for me, I see myself spending a lot of money to make a quality record, but then the download is poor. So it doesn't, you know, it's like I'm digging into my kids' funds, you know, my kids' college fund to make this record. And it's nice for the fans to have, you know, a record, an album where they can, you know, play an album in there, whatever they're playing. But I just think the time has come where people are more interested in, like, single, especially when it comes down to dancehall.
Yeah, I've actually been talking to a lot of artists about that issue in general, just how it's so singles driven. Nick Cannon, I was talking to him the other day, and he said, yeah, he's just going to put out singles, and maybe if it's something really special, it will go towards an album, but other than that, it would just be singles. So when you add to that what, you know, you're dealing with in Jamaica as a reggae artist, it's like, you know, even more compounded.
Of course, you know, but I think when you have a good song, you have a good single, and you spend, you know, some time promoting the single, and it becomes a big record, you know. And as Nick said, if it just happens to be one of those big records and people are actually asking for the album, then, you know, you may you know, put that out if a label is behind it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man.
So reggae music. I think for a lot of people, you know, when you say reggae, the first go-to artist would be Bob Marley. You know, and you think of some of those huge songs, the Wailers, etc. And it definitely in the '90s, in my era, you know, definitely as you were taking off, Shabba Ranks, Beanie Man, you know, this whole dancehall thing is really taking off. And one part of it that I think got a lot of people's attention were the ladies. I might want to mention Patra for a moment. You know, there was this dance called the Butterfly, and there was the winding and everything. Sean Paul, you know, has had some good videos with the dancers. And so this has been, you know, I think just in music in general, you know, you always want to have a pretty lady who could do her thing. But like in reggae, with the dancing in particular, it seems like it was just like a critical part of the sound. How would you explain this?
Well, people like visual, and people like to copy what they're seeing. So, you know, when people listen to a dancehall song and it's singing about moving your hips and shaking your hips and shaking your butt and stuff like that, you know, then people try to make the visual to it. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's, you know, like out there. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it's really sexy. Yeah. You know, but like people, as you said, Sean Paul, you know, if you look at Sean Paul videos, it's really, you know, cleaned up nicely, where it's not too X-rated and stuff like that. But then we see, you know, like other artists from different genre, and their videos are even more sexier than dancehall videos. You know, so, you know, it's just basically showcasing what we're really singing about. Yeah.
And so what is it like to be in Jamaica? I've not been in Jamaica. You know, to go to a show. I've seen some videos. You know, I just saw I think it may have been a radio show, and there was, you know, there was definitely some gymnastics going on the stage. So what is it like, you know, in Jamaica? Is it pretty much what we are seeing in the videos, or is there more to it?
Well, it's not everywhere, but I must admit, it has gotten a little bit out of hand. In some dancehall scenes, where people just think that. But let me tell you, this is what's happening. You have social media. Everyone is trying to get likes. Everyone is trying to get 1 million views. Everyone is trying to go viral. So people are doing not just dancehall crazy moves. People are burning up themselves. People are having different challenges. People are setting themselves on fire. So it's the same thing. Like these kids these days, like basically, if I put this or if I do this, a lot of people are gonna react on the internet, and then some of these dancers that are doing some of those crazy stunts, people may even book them. So they find a way that, if I go crazy, I'm going to get some bookings, people are going to come see me. Because they see a promoter sees something trending on the internet, and he want to be a part of it. He think he can make some money from it.
Yeah. Definitely social media for sure. There's that viral aspect of it. With anything, it's not even just music videos,
Right.
It's just news in general. Like the crazier, the more sensationalistic, the more people like it. And so I'm glad you made that point. So from the perspective of kids, how would you say kids, or if you go back to your childhood, coming up, like who are some of the people you're listening to, and how are these messages interpreted to kids? Like, is there a filter? Is it considered, this is maybe too much for a certain age group, or is it just there for everyone to consume?
I just think growing up, we had less, visual. When we do saw, when we did see a music video, it was like maybe a Lieutenant Stitchy, and it was like funny stuff, like stuff to make you laugh. That was what music videos were about. We used to want to see it because it was funny, it made us laugh. I think now, as I said before, it's a bit different, but there are ways how to. I think like YouTube. You have to be 18 years and older to see some videos. So I think that is one way people could take that route.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So on This Is Dancehall, would it be in your last record? I saw the video where you're doing the dab and stuff. I think that was a good way to kind of incorporate, the reggae vibes with, some dances that the kids are doing in this in the States. So when you're approaching this record, what was it that you wanted people to get?
Well, if you look at most of my videos where there's a lot of dancing, there might be a few sexy ones for the ladies, because we still have to perform these songs and get paid. But if you look at Take For Yourself, Raging Bull, a lot of these videos, dab, it's basically kids driven. I saw the craze going on in America, and I was like, if I put a dancehall beat on this vibe, then the kids are going to be into it. And, we go a lot of places and the kids just want to dab. It's just something simple. It's clean. They see all the NBA players doing it, the NFL players doing it. They want to be down,
Yeah. And then I see that one in particular has got almost 1 million plays. How does it feel, to have this legacy and still get that kind of reaction from your fans?
Well, it's, for me to be doing this for so many years, and people, I just find ways to get them involved. I see something trending and it looks fun, I'm gonna throw it out there. So it's a great feeling when you see people, actually react to it. Some people were mad because they're like, oh, why is he doing an American dance move? That's not original. But it's just fun, man. It's just having fun with the music.
Yeah, definitely. I know another issue that has come up is appropriation, I guess, of the dancehall music, and it's it was definitely very popular for a long time here, and now we have a lot more pop stars who aren't reggae artists, who have been incorporating this sound in their work. And so there's some controversy behind it. So it might be a Justin Bieber, Nicki Minaj, or Drake, who have these songs that are very popular for an island sound. And so I know you are one of the artists who's been very vocal about that and having some concern. So let's break that down, because I know you talked about credit. You don't feel like people are getting proper credit. Like, in what kind of scenario would you feel better about these scenarios happening?
Well, it's important for people to know that, Mr. Vegas, I don't have a problem with someone doing a dancehall or a reggae song or a dancehall or a reggae influence song, because a lot of our influences came from different genre. But it's important, when someone is putting us on, to give us some form of recognition.
Yeah.
In my view, for me to listen to a record and then I hear a Jamaican artist DJing or what you call rap or singing on the record, but then I don't even see the artist's name beside whosoever is doing the song with.
Yeah.
To me, I'm lost. I'm like, then if I'm lost, what about the millions of fans that you have?
Yeah.
They ain't gonna know who is that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to get our music, on the forefront, to get our artists from Jamaica who are very talented, to be playing on mainstream radio,
Yeah.
that helps. Because right now, if you check the playlist across the world on the mainstream radio stations, there are no Jamaicans solo act on no radio station across the world in rotation at this time. And you hear a lot of dancehall, a lot of reggae vibe, a lot of reggae influence, a lot of dancehall influence. So that is what I was basically getting at. Not just play our music in New York and a few other states, but give us a chance, because some radio station, you may take a dancehall record to them. I've had that before with Head's Eye,
Yeah.
where it was top 5 in New York, top 5 in Minnesota, and we couldn't get it nowhere else. But if maybe someone else should copy Head's Eye now,
Yeah.
or sample Head's Eye now, it would be all over the radio.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that was what I was basically getting at.
Why do you think the same opportunities, when the songs are just as good, haven't been extended to reggae artists? Because the guys who did Rue, like, they were a brand new artist. That was like their debut song, and the song was so big.
I think it's a little bit more difficult when we don't have a major behind us, we don't have a record label behind us. We have no one to take our stuff to radio across the board. And I think image plays a role. You see what I'm saying? I think, someone goes to go to a radio station with a record and they're like, where is he from? Jamaica. It might be a reluctant situation. Maybe they take someone and say, oh, he's from Canada, or they're from Canada,
Yeah.
or they're from LA, or whatever. They might give it a second, listen. So, there are challenges that we have. That's the reason why I'm saying, if someone is going to feature our artist,
Yeah.
or feature our samples, our music, or whatever, and you're gonna give other people recognition that you sampled, it would be nice
Yeah.
to recognize us as well.
Yeah. And so what about collaborations? Are you for more collaborations? Because I know there have been a lot of them, but like when Beyonce had Sean Paul and Baby Boy, like that was huge. Like, do you feel like those, would you, do you think there should be more of those kind of situations?
It helps. If Beyonce had done the record and you only saw Beyonce's name,
Yeah.
I don't know if people would have known that it was Sean Paul at that time when he was just a young artist.
Yeah.
They would be like, who is that? You see what I'm saying? I did Standing on the Sun, a remix for Beyonce, and she featured it on her Platinum Edition album.
Yeah.
I go places, I'm still touring, I go places and the place is sold out. And I'm seeing fans that are, different fans that I normally see when I go to these places. And they're like, when I perform that song, and they hear Beyonce's voice comes on, it's a chaos.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just the fact that Mr. Vegas has a record with Beyonce. It was not a single, it wasn't released, or video was not done. But the fact that it's out there,
Yeah.
it do move the needle.
Yeah. Okay. And so I want to say this too, and I think maybe it does or maybe it doesn't tie into the record, but it's called This Is Dancehall. So I'm wondering what's behind that title. So we have other people who are, making this, kind of island sound music, and people are calling it, but you called your album This Is Dancehall. Was that intentional to kind of set the record straight?
I actually went into studio because I saw the surge going on at radio. And I'm like, what you're hearing is not tropical pop, it's not tropical house.
What's tropical pop?
That's what they call. That's what they call a lot of these records that have that dancehall feel. The last record Major Lazer and Justin Bieber just released, that's dancehall to me.
Yeah.
So I'm basically saying, listen here, this is dancehall, that is dancehall as well.
Yeah.
So let's hope that you're gonna classify it as dancehall or reggae.
Yeah. Okay, so still while on this topic, and then, this Parents and Mix, so we're trying to bring parents up to speed. So if you were to talk about, This Is Dancehall, like who would be, Mr. Vegas, of course, is on the list, but if you were to give people like a list of five go-to dancehall artists, who would they be?
Sean Paul, definitely. One. Um, Sean Paul. I respect Supercat. Um, I think Lady Saw, when she was doing her thing,
Yes.
she's doing gospel now, but I still think that, you know, she has dancehall influenced
Yeah.
gospel songs. Myself, of course, and Chronix is more reggae. I don't know if they call it the same thing, but I think in terms of like, a young blood right now who's doing it, like Chronix, I think is, that would be my five.
Yeah, okay. I'm impressed. I think that's a good list. I'm glad you mentioned Lady Saw. I forgot about Lady Saw. Like in the '90s when Little Kim and we're taking, like Lady Saw was right there with them, leading the charge, a strong voice for women, etc. So, and then maybe we can talk about that too. Like as we talk about the dances, the provocative nature, and what about women, and how women are regarded, and if there's a connection there with the music.
You're speaking of female artists, right? Or just women
I guess just women, women in general. With hip hop, sometimes people say, like, "Oh, hip hop is a little hard on the women." How about reggae?
That's what I think you were talking about. It's just the same. It's really difficult. Lady Saw, and now we have Spice, the new generation. They have to be very strong. They have to act as if they're like show some muscles. In other words. To stand out and to be firm, because they can be easily taken advantage of, because it's a rough industry and people think that, and it's worldwide. A woman will be doing just as good a job or better, and you want to pay her less. It goes on in music as well. People think that she should get less because she's a woman, but she's pulling more people are performing better on the stage. So women do have the challenges. Sometimes you find producers who don't want to put a woman on the beat, so they have their challenges in dancehall as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. And I think this will kind of be a funny question to ask. Again, as we're talking about these songs, these American artists that are doing these reggae songs, do you like any of these songs? Like, all right, yeah, like, like, is there one that's like a guilty pleasure for you? It doesn't have to be a guilty pleasure, but is it one of these songs like, man, I could have rocked that song,
No. Listen to me. We're talking about some good songs. I don't have a problem with the production, the songs, whatever it is, because I'm a fan of these artists as well. You know what I'm saying? So the songs are really good. The production is great.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? The way they uses the dancehall influence and turn it into what they're turning it into, hats off to them. It's really, really sounding good. You see what I'm saying? It's just important for me, to see our music from Jamaica advancing. I remember when there were, Shabba Rankin on top of the billboard.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? With Maxi Priest. They were, Patra, Cabra. Mad Cobra singing Flex, and it was just a movement. And I personally know, because I've been traveling, touring America for years and the rest of the world, I'm 100% sure that if we get the opportunity to be played on radio, to have our stuff played on radio, people will react.